pictures of my son. I have pictures of their kids and things like that. So.
Oh, that's good. So how was it? And I don't want to. This is probably off the wall question. How was it when you first poked somebody on with a needle?
Oh my goodness! It was. I mean, your hands. I know my hands were shaking. It was very nerve-wracking. But the one thing that we did, you had to. They got you down to the clinic, and none of the active. You always, stick to active duty because they can't refuse. So you would be there, and you had your trainer, right there, and they come see you, and you stick them, and it's. They give you all the easy sticks, so those who had really great veins, so you couldn't miss. And then once you, in order to be certified, in order to to have your little certificate saying that you've completed that, you had to go to the OR, and everyone that was going into the OR, you had to start their IVs. Oh. So you really, at the end of it all, you were very comfortable. You were certain of your skills. But we didn't have mannequins back in those days to start. We had to practice on each other, which we did. So when you went too deep, or if so you don't want to do that to your patients. You know exactly where to go. you know exactly where to go. But I think you had some people that were squeamish about blood, and I mean. I wasn't squeamish about it. I mean, it was scary, learning how to start IVs and things like that. I think that's the main thing, and giving a shot, making sure that you are, actually in the muscle and not someplace else. So once you do your first one, okay, you gain the confidence, and you're able to do the second one, and at that time, you just keep building your confidence. Just keeps building as you can do more.
Yeah. Did you ever treat anyone that had been a combat wounded person, or like well, most of the civilian or on base? I mean, dependent and on base military.
Well, we did as far as with the retirees that came in. I know in New Hampshire, one of the things that I really loved was. Listening to their stories, because they had just awesome stories, to tell you about when they served, in the wars, and their injury, whether it was an amputation or loss of an eye or, brain damage. The family would, tell you, what happened, to them, or the veteran will tell you himself, what happened, that. It really, at that time when all this was going on, we didn't really experience, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, so it was, you can just imagine what they went through, and to see how, some of them would, talked about how hard it was for them when they came, how they came back, and the struggles and things that they had to go through on a personal level, getting adjusted or readjusted to having to function without, a limb, or with the loss of an eye or hearing or things like that, and to see how, it was their family, not only their immediate family, but their military family, the guys that they served with, that really kind of helped them through the healing process. So it was great, listening, to the stories. It's like, sitting down with your grandparents and great grandparents, and they're telling you, all these stories. So it was wonderful.
Okay, let's just say during this period of time, you were 22, 23 in that range, right? Do you feel that your responsibilities at that age was probably an awesome experiences that for a young person like you to get, actually you're giving, you're a caregiver, you're helping out people. Did this sort of reflect on your age and what you were doing for people? If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, it was great, because the responsibility. And one of the great things, you had a lot of responsibilities, and I know for me, I honored that responsibility because you young, such a young age.
Sure. Let me, and I hate to, but I definitely appreciate your experience, and I just sort of, and you
live in Detroit.
Right,
So,
right. Once I had completed my term in the Air Force, we decided, okay, we'll move back to Detroit. That's where my husband is from. He's from Detroit.
And you drove back to Detroit. Was your husband in with you all that time that you served?
Yes, yeah, and we drove from Florida to Detroit. He drove, as a matter of fact, he drove one vehicle and then flew, and then we drove my car, drove back, so that we wouldn't be doing the two cars.
Two cars.
Yeah, we won't be doing that.
And
I took some leave at the end too, so we were able to drive back.
And did you have a home to go to, or were you going to live with somebody that you knew, or you were independent then? Since you were married,
Well, when we got out, because my husband left a few months early to try to get settled as far as get the house and things like that, and we were in the process of purchasing a house, but that went through, so we stayed with a friend. We stayed with a friend for about 6 to 8 months, and then we purchased our home in Detroit. And then because we had our stuff in storage at that time, and that's how we started.
Then you settled in for trying to become a civilian.
Yeah.
Was it hard to get back to living in the real world, so to speak?
Well, it was, as far on the business end, it was an adjustment. It was really an adjustment because you were so used to having all these responsibilities in the